a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together.
Hello and welcome to another video from Sandra at Sandra's Stampin' Craft Studio. Today I'm going to be using the Nothing's Better Than Stampin' Die Bundle. This is new to my crafting stash and I'm excited to show you this project today. So let's get down onto the craft table. So here we have the Nothing's Better Than stamp set. We will be starting with a piece of early espresso cardstock measuring 23 centimeters by 20 centimeters. And we will be scoring this according to the measurements I've put on here. So this is the longest edge at the top. They're very similar, so do make sure that is the longest at the top. So they're 23 centimeters, and we will be scoring 1.5 centimeters from each side. Here you will see I'm lining up on the right hand side of the trimmer. If you lined up here on the left hand, you won't have any cardstock left to get hold of. So I like to use this on the right hand side. Just there's a few centimeters there to use. So I think it goes up to 3.5 centimeters on this side. So this is 1.5 centimeters from that side, and then I will turn it round and do the 1.5 from the other side the same way, because it makes it easier doing it that way. So that's this piece, both sides, outside edges. So then we will turn the cardstock. So now we have the 20 centimeters at the top, and we'll be starting by scoring it on these measurements here. So we'll score at 8 centimeters, at 9.5 centimeters, at 17.5 centimeters, and at 19 centimeters. Okay, so I can take that off now. So that's all our scoring done. So grabbing my bone folder, I'm going to burnish all of those score lines with the bone folder, taking care to keep them nice and straight. So here we have all our score lines done. Next I will take my paper snips, and on the shortest edge here I will be making snips up all of these marks along the bottom edge. So I'll snip this piece and straight along those score lines. So one there, there, and the two in the center. So one there and one there. Okay, now this little one on the corner is just going to be snipped away. We don't need that one. And the same on this edge.
Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together, you know it's all because.
So with these tabs, I like to taper these tabs. So both of those, we're going to be tapering them very, very slightly. So here I will take them from the outside edge into that fold there, like so. Just making a tiny little wedge either side. Now when I've said this before, some people have likened that to a flower pot. So they think of it as being a flower pot because that's the shape that it leaves. So and the same on this one. And then we'll do exactly the same on the other end.
What we love, what we do, makes a difference in me and you. All these years of inspiration and love.
Next, I will bring in my two side edges here on those flaps, and I will apply Tombow to both of those pieces, like so. So we'll bring this edge up, and we want to make that into a nice, perfect square. So if I bring that to the camera, we want that side to be a perfect square there. Just hold it for a few seconds until that corner holds. Okay, and then we'll turn to the other one and we'll do exactly the same. So we're going to bring this edge in, there's our adhesive, and we're going to bring that in so that this edge is nice and square and flush. So just holding those just for a few more minutes, a few seconds, sorry, until that holds. Now this is going to be our box, and these are going to be the two sides that will go away from us or inside. Whichever way you decide to do it, you need to do the same on both sides. Don't have one going on the outside and one going on the inside. So I will use this as our lid, and I will use this as going away. So these edges need to be on the inside. So I will be placing my glue here on that flap and tucking that inside and holding that just for a few seconds until that adheres. And then I will turn that over, and using my bone folder, I will just press on the inside of that fold just to make sure that that is nice and square. And I do like to check it afterwards to make sure it's not slipped. And then the same on the opposite side. Okay, now we have our box assembled. We just have these two flaps on the outside, and then this is going to be the flap that tucks in our box. Before we do that though, we just want to round these corners. Now Stampin' Up have had different corner rounders over the time. So this was our old-fashioned one, our black corner rounder. This was the Project Life corner rounder, and now we currently have the Detailed Trio punch here. It rounds the corner, it's got a decorative corner, and also makes a hole for a tag. You are only taking a tiny little edge off there just around that corner, just to help it inside. Okay, so I will just close that box for now to give us a sturdy area to be working on. And there is our box. So I'm going to put that to one side, and we're going to work on the decoration for the box. For our decorative layers, we are going to need a piece of a real red cardstock, 6.5 centimeters by 18 centimeters, and also a piece of Whisper white cardstock, 6 centimeters by 17.5 centimeters. Our Whisper white layer is now going to be embossed using the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. As my cardstock is longer than the embossing folder, I have run this through the embossing folder this way, and then turned this round and just popped in just the edge piece, making sure that they overlap, and then passed it through again to emboss the last piece. These two layers will now be attached together using my multi-purpose glue. I will now attach this decorative panel to the front of my box. I like to have my box opening going away from me. And I will attach this using Stampin' Dimensionals. Just attaching that, just making sure to get it nicely in the centre and pressing down firmly. We'll put that aside for one moment. Next, I've already die cut the word chocolate using early espresso cardstock, and there's our greeting there. And I'd like to show you a quick tip with regards to making a matte layer. We could stick that down and fussy cut all the way around the outside. However, if we use our dies, we can actually draw around with a propelling pencil because it's got a nice sharp point always, and we can draw around this and then cut out on the line. If we do it that way, we will need to erase our pencil lines. So if we want to have the pencil lines on the underside, what I like to do is to turn that die over, and then I will draw round, applying pressure, so I'm trying not to move the die.
We say it's Stampin' Up and it's our way to love, live and share it today. To love, live and share it today.
So now we'll fussy cut that.
It's so much more than stamps and ink. It's more than just a card you see. It's part of you, a part of me. It's creativity. You can do most anything, so just do what you love. Live it, share it, you know it's what you're dreaming of. It's what you're dreaming of. What we love, what we do makes a difference in me and you. All these years of inspiration and love.
It might be too close, but there are pencil lines on this side that we would have to erase. But if we turn this over now, and we're going to adhere our greeting on there, this will be perfect. We'll shape that as it goes on there, like so. So here is the other side with no pencil marks, and we're going to adhere this greeting on there like so. I take my multi-purpose liquid adhesive, and I'm going to place a little well there. This is my sticky edge. I'm just going to work that into the edge of the sponge, and I will just dab this all over the back of the detailed die cut. Now, picking that up with my tweezers, we only have a very small amount of adhesive on the back of that, and I'm going to just line this up perfectly as I go along, placing that down carefully. And some of the key points, so like get the T's in there and the L, and the rest will just slot into place. And there is our finished greeting. Okay, so I'm going to place some foam pads on the back of that.
One card at a time can really change the way we live.
And set that aside, ready to decorate our box. We're going to stamp our chocolates in the early espresso ink.
You know it's what you're dreaming of. What we love, what we do makes a difference in me and you. All these years of inspiration.
I'm now bringing on my bronze Stampin blend, and we'll be using the wide end. These have a wide end and a narrow end. I will be using the wide end to colour in my chocolates.
Look around and you can see it's so much more than stamps and ink. It's more than just a card you see. It's part of you, a part of me. It's creativity.
The Stampin blends are great because they do not leave the scratchy marks a normal pen would. Because they're alcohol based, they blend in nicely. All the strokes are evaporated. Okay, so there are our 3 pieces of chocolate. Which I will now die cut using the framelit that goes with this set. Here are my 3 pieces of chocolate, and I'm now just going to place some foam pads, the Stampin Dimensionals, on the back of these. Just 2 on each one. And we'll set those aside, ready to build our project later and decoration. The last piece we're going to need is the Love You More Than, and I'm going to cut out the bottom 3 words in the early espresso and the love in the real red. With my images die cut, I'm going to take my Stampin' Up, take your pick tool, and I'm going to poke these images out just to release those from their frames.
Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together. You know it's all because...
And they're ready to attach on our project. Done. So we need to position those nicely. So everything's ready to be adhered now. We're going to be working with these letters first. So I've picked them up in my tweezers and I used my sponge to stamp on the back with some glue. Just that tiny little bit there. And then we're going to position that where we want it.
So just do what you love. Live it, share it, you know it's what you're dreaming of. What we love, what we do makes a difference in me and you. All these years of inspiration and love. Oh, how we live and what we say. It's Stampin' Up and it's our way to love, live and share it today. To love, live and share it today. Just look around and you can see it's so much more than stamps and ink. It's more than just a card you see. It's part of you, a part of me. It's creativity.
And now our chocolate box is nearly finished. All we need to do is to put some rhinestones. We have some red rhinestone basic jewels here, and I'm going to put a few of these on 3 random chocolates to look like a cherry on the top of the chocolates. And I like to put some in the corner, so I'll put 3 in the corner as well.
Love, live and share it today. What we love, what we do makes a difference in me.
And there is our finished project. So I'll bring that up to the camera so you can see how the box is finished. And I'm going to place the chocolate inside by opening the lid and place my Bourneville dark chocolate orange inside. Close the flaps, tuck in the flap there, and there is our gift. So to recap, my project today has used the Nothing's Better Than stamp set and dies from Stampin' Up. All the details of how to order those are in the description below, including my 24/7 Stampin' Up shop online. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today. Please click on the subscribe button below, and if you ring the bell too, you will be notified of future videos as they are released. My contact details will be at the end of the video and in the description below. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you here again soon.
Everybody plays a part in doing what we love.